Hello, my name is Catherine Thompson and I am the Chief Operating Officer at the Northern Ireland Tourist Board, and today I would like to talk to you about the importance of tourism to the economy here in Northern Ireland, the potential that tourism has to help contribute to the long-term success of Northern Ireland as a place to live, a place to work and a place to visit. So I'd really like to cover three key things. Firstly, I'd like to talk to you about where tourism's at the moment. Then I'd like to talk to you about the potential for tourism and where we at the Tourist Board believe tourism can be in 10 to 15 years. And finally then, just the opportunity for anybody who would want to consider working within the tourism sector. So first of all then, where is tourism at? At the moment, tourism generates approximately £540 million worth of revenue to the Northern Ireland economy. That's the amount of money that people spend who come here for short breaks or for holidays. 27% of the visitors that we have are what we call domestic tourists. They are people from Northern Ireland who either take short breaks or holidays at home. Last year in 2009, we had over 2 million people who visited from outside of Northern Ireland, so from the Republic of Ireland, Great Britain and further afield. And they spent £321 million here in the economy in Northern Ireland. And the sector at the moment sustains roughly 40,000 jobs. And just to give you an idea of what that means, that's roughly on a par with agriculture, and it is larger than both the civil service and the construction sector. So already a sizable sector here in Northern Ireland. So in terms then of some of the key trends within tourism over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of work done over the last year to really try and establish where are we in terms of tourism, what is our potential and how do we maximise that potential going forward. And there's just 5 key things that I would like to highlight to you. Just starting at the top there of my slide, over the last 10 years there's been substantial growth in tourism. Looking at this graph, you can see that from over the last 10 years particularly, there has been quite steep growth, although in the last couple of years it's levelled off. That growth that we've had over the last 10 years has largely been from Europe and from North America, but it has been from a relatively low base. The Great Britain market, it's our most important market. Over 65% of our visitors come from Great Britain. However, that market has been either static or in decline over the last 5 years, so that is a real concern for us. And finally, particularly in the last year, from the end of 2008 and 2009, we have seen a huge growth in the number of people visiting Northern Ireland from the Republic of Ireland. So a lot of people coming up from down south, not just coming for their shopping trips, but the statistics show us that they're now staying over, they're taking short breaks, they're staying for the weekend, or they're actually coming for their holidays. So that is really encouraging. Looking then again at the trends. Secondly, what we have noticed over the last 10 years is that the benefit of tourism to our economy is actually being shared regionally across Northern Ireland. And that's quite significant for us because usually when you see tourism growing in other countries and places, it tends to be focused either in the cities or in tourism hotspots. But for Northern Ireland, that growth has been spread evenly across the whole of the regions. Now, not every part of Northern Ireland gets the same number of tourists. Obviously, we get more tourists in Belfast than anywhere else, but they've all had all regions have had an equal share of the growth, and we need to make sure that we maintain that going forward. Thirdly then, one of the big areas where we have opportunity is around events tourism and business tourism. We haven't yet exploited the opportunities that they offer us. Events are very, very important because they drive both seasonal and regional spread. So at the times whenever maybe some of the tourism industry is not that busy, in the evenings or at the weekends or off season, events can really help to encourage people to come and to take holidays in those areas. Business tourists are really important, and they're very important for 2 reasons. Firstly, they spend more money than a leisure tourist, but secondly, the business tourist that we have today is very often our leisure tourist of the future. So if someone's been somewhere on work and they like it, then they might come back with their family or with their friends for a short break or for a holiday. And we know that we have great opportunity to exploit our business tourists further. We need to improve the service and standard of what we're giving our business visitors, but also we need a lot more flexible facilities so that we can encourage more business visitors. Moving around then, the fourth key trend that we would notice over the last probably 5 years is the significant increase in air routes and direct access into Northern Ireland. 5 years ago, there was only one route out of Great Britain, and that was to Amsterdam. And today we have approximately 40 direct access routes to Europe and to North America. That's a fantastic opportunity, but unfortunately a lot of the research shows us that those routes have mostly taken people out of Northern Ireland rather than bringing them into Northern Ireland. So we really need to look at how we can better maximise the opportunity that those routes offer us going forward. Finally then, and the most significant trend, is earnings per visitor per day. And that's basically how much money are people spending while they're here. This graph shows us that in Northern Ireland we lag significantly behind some of our nearest neighbours in terms of the amount of money per day that a visitor or tourist spends while they're here. In actual fact, the average spend per person per day in Northern Ireland is only £37. The next closest to us is Wales. They have an average spend per visitor of 47. Scotland and England generate about £65 per day per visitor, and the south of Ireland, they get about €70 per day. So that's a huge opportunity for us. It's not just that we need more people, but we really need to maximise the opportunity and the amount of money that people spend while they're here. So we need to be getting what we have to see and do right and create more opportunities for people to spend, but also we need to be encouraging the right type of people to come here in the first place. So, what is the potential for tourism? We understand very clearly where we are, but what is the potential for us going forward? A new tourism strategy has been developed by the government in Northern Ireland. They are committed to tourism and they are committed to investing in the future of tourism in Northern Ireland. And that strategy sees that in the next 10 years, by 2020, that the amount of money people spend as tourists in Northern Ireland will double to £1 billion. That will also see an increase in the number of visitors we have to 4.5 million. And most importantly, it will allow the sector to support over 50,000 jobs. So that's a huge increase in the job opportunities within the tourism sector. This is an ambitious growth, but the industry and those who work within the tourism sector in Northern Ireland believe that it is realistic, they believe that it is achievable, and they are up for the challenge of achieving that. And it will be great for the sector to be able to be successful. So what will the tourism sector look like in 10 years' time? Where will we be? Starting at the top of the slide, we will have a much more developed industry. The tourism sector in Northern Ireland, people will be proud to work in. It will be much more profitable than it is at the moment, and the businesses that operate within it will be sustainable. Secondly then, we will have much more of a customer focus in terms of how we deliver for tourism in Northern Ireland. And what we call that at the Tourist Board is being visitor inspired. It's really important that we start to value tourists and visitors to Northern Ireland. And by valuing them and the importance that they are for our economy, it means that we start to value the kind of things that they value. So we need to be offering them the authentic and unique Northern Ireland experiences that they're looking for. We need our environment to be clean of litter. We need to be able to point people in the directions of where they need to go and what they need to do. And we need to be telling them the stories of our place that make Northern Ireland very different from anywhere else that you visit. Like many other places, Northern Ireland has beautiful scenery, we have vibrant cities, we have lots of different things to see and do. But the thing that makes us unique is the stories of our people and the stories of our place. And those are the stories that we need to be telling our visitors. Thirdly then, the tourism sector will be very much about quality and value. In terms of quality, what I mean is that we have the world-class facilities, that we are offering world-class services, and that we are really celebrating and showcasing everything that is local to us here in Northern Ireland. So that means that when you go into a restaurant or into a pub and you want to eat, that you're being able to eat the fish that's been caught in the sea outside, that you're being able to eat burgers made from local cattle, etc. So it's really about celebrating what we have and allowing people to experience that. Also, looking at all of our local craft and the things that our artists are developing, our music scene and our festivals, celebrating all of that in terms of the quality of what we have to offer. And secondly then, it's about value. And value doesn't mean cheap, but value means worth it. And today's visitor wants increasing satisfaction. It's not that they don't want to spend their money or they don't want to go on holiday, but they want to get good value while they're there. So our tourism sector has to be about quality and value underpinning everything that we do. Fourth then, as we move around the circle on the slide, is the sector we will very much cherish our environmental assets. We have some fantastic places and scenery and things, and we want our visitors to be able to see that heritage and that culture, but we also need to protect it at the same time. And so we will have to strike the balance between those sensitivities. Finally then, and the most important focus for the future is how are we going to increase the spend per head? How are we going to increase our visitor spend? And there's a number of different ways that we can do that. And within the tourism sector in Northern Ireland, we need to be looking over the next number of years at creating more opportunities to spend. Our visitor attitude survey that we conduct tells us that people and our visitors say there's not enough to do in the evenings and there's not enough to do at the weekends, particularly on a Sunday. So those are opportunities when people are available and they want to spend money. We need to create the opportunity for them to spend those. We need to be laying on events during the week and in the evenings. We need to be thinking about different activities and things to do on a Sunday for our visitors. It's also looking at our retail trading hours. When are our shops open? How could we make them open at times which are suitable to visitors and not necessarily suitable to us? Those are all ways that we can increase spend, as well as getting more of what we have available online and able to buy online, because so many more people are accessing the things that they want and buying what they need online. So the more that we can offer online, then the greater opportunity that we have that people will spend money. The second area really for increasing spend is around upselling and cross-selling. So how do we have, for example, integrated ticketing? So if you were staying in Belfast for the weekend, you could maybe buy a special pack that would have 5 different attractions that you could visit and maybe get a small discount at each one, so that really we're pushing people around as many places as possible. Also, packaging around events. So if there's an event in the local area, how can you build onto that a programme of other activities and things to see and do, accommodation to stay in, places to eat. So really maximising the opportunity again of the visitor. And finally then, in terms of upselling and cross-selling, how do we actually add value to what we're doing? So how do we put something a little bit extra that doesn't cost a lot, that actually adds value to the offer that we have? Thirdly then, we need more quality products. We do understand from our research where our gaps are, so we believe that a conference and exhibition facility would really help us maximise the benefit of the business tourist and the opportunity that conferences give us. So we would really like to look at support and looking at investment in developing those kind of facilities. We also need to look at other product gaps. We have great golf courses at the moment, but some of our links courses are not maybe always accessible. They tend to be membership based, and so how could we produce more golf resorts that offers more opportunity for tourists and visitors and for them to come here and to spend money. And again then, in terms of our product, we need to be looking at developing a programme of events that will run throughout the year. So whether you come in January, August or November, there is something for you to do while you're here in Northern Ireland. We also need to be encouraging entrepreneurs and innovation, and the public sector has a key role to play in this in terms of, for example, licences for events or street closures to facilitate events, right up to planning policy, and a planning policy that will allow development where tourism requires to be developed that will help to grow the economy. And finally then, in terms of increasing spend, the sector needs to have much more targeted marketing, because we need to make sure that we are attracting the right visitors. For us going forward, the most important markets that we know are our short stay and closer to home markets. So the likes of our domestic market, Republic of Ireland and Great Britain, are going to be critical markets for us in the short to medium term. We also need to be targeting the high growth segments, so our marketing strategy needs to be right. So there we are, we need to increase our visitor spend, and these are a number of different ways which we can look at doing that. So I've talked about where tourism's at. I've talked about the potential and the opportunity for tourism, and the fact that it is growing. It's a growing sector, and it is going to offer great opportunity in the future. So finally then, I'd just like to close by talking about what I see as the opportunity. Tourism in Northern Ireland is everyone's business. Whether you're working in the sector or whether you're a resident in Northern Ireland, we all have a role and a responsibility towards our tourists and our visitors, because they do help to contribute to the success of our economy here, and therefore the prosperity of Northern Ireland as a place to live. In terms of the opportunity, it is a growing sector. It has the potential to grow from 40,000 jobs to 50,000 jobs. There's going to be a lot of opportunity within the tourism sector. It is a serious business. It is a serious driver for the future of the economy here. Tourism is also long-term sustainable. You can't offshore tourism, you can't outsource tourism. It is authentic. It is of Northern Ireland, and so therefore it is here for the long term, and the opportunity for us is to build on that. I believe in tourism. I believe that tourism can underpin the long-term success of Northern Ireland. I love working in tourism as a sector. It's a really exciting place to be, and I think it's a great opportunity for people to become involved, particularly when tourism is growing as we move forward. That really is all that I'd like to say today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative, and I thank you for listening.